Questions about the San Diego police chief's future after Team 10 exposed another officer accused of sexually assaulting women while on the job.
Tonight, police sources say that the scandal involving Officer Chris Hayes may be bigger than the one brought by disgraced cop Anthony Arevalos. We have team coverage, including a new effort by Arevalos to get out of prison. But first, we begin with Team 10 investigator Mitch Blocker.
Kim, the moment we confirmed Officer Chris Hayes was being investigated for sexual assault while on duty, we took our question straight to the police chief. At first, he was reluctant to talk, but when he did, he played the situation down. Now, as you said, we are now hearing those assaults may have been worse than the chief let on. Chief William Lansdowne has had to deal with rogue cops before. Chris Hayes is now the latest officer to be accused of abusing women while on duty. Officer Anthony Arevalos is already in prison for trading tickets for sexual favors. This is what the chief said when Team 10 first asked him about the allegations facing Officer Hayes.
The way it's been described to me is this is another Anthony Arevalos.
It's not.
Once the rest of the media got wind of the story, the chief was forced to elaborate.
This is not skin-to-skin touching. This are improper searches.
I'm hearing the exact opposite, that this was Arevalos squared.
Attorney Dan Gillian represented some of Arevalos' victims. He told us his information comes from directly inside the San Diego Police Department.
I don't know of any women that came forward and said they actually had sex with Mr. Arevalos. But that's what I'm hearing on this one.
Hayes has been a San Diego police officer for 4 years. His father-in-law, Mark Jones, is an assistant chief with the department.
There's a hint here of some sort of corruption, some level of nepotism and favoritism and pulling strings.
This woman says she is trying to clean up that police culture. She was sexually assaulted by Officer Arevalos and is suing the city, asking for independent police oversight. In her first and only interview, she made this plea to San Diego's next mayor.
I would hope that anyone that's elected to the next mayor of San Diego would be on board with cleaning our city up.
Friday, both mayoral candidates addressed the police scandal and Lansdowne's future as chief.
We expect and will demand the highest standards possible, and I will set that tone.
Chief Lansdowne, is he your chief of police?
Not going to make any staffing decisions at this time. It's premature.
We're going to have conversations with the chief to make sure that my priorities as a mayor and my priorities for the city fit in with what he's been doing and what he's going to be focused on over the next several years if he decides to stay on board.
Now, attorney Dan Gillian told Team 10 he thinks this could ultimately cost the police chief his job. Police told the media today that the chief stands by his comments about the case not being worse than with Arevalos. With Team 10, I'm investigator Mitch Blocker.
As San Diego police officer Chris Hayes faces charges, another San Diego police officer spoke to Team 10 describing what he says is a culture of nepotism and favoritism inside the department.
The officer told Team 10 investigator Mitch Blocker that a corrupt culture has poisoned the department's ability to police itself.
The decision makers are the ones that have this nepotism, this buddy system, the golden boy system. That's where it starts.
This San Diego police officer is risking a lot to talk to Team 10, sharing information the officer says the public should know.
A lot of it is within the command staff. It has to be because they're the decision makers.
Are these family connections? Are these personal connections?
Most of these are personal connections. These guys have known each other for at least 20 years. They've worked together, they drink together, they smoke together. They're buddies, they're friends.
The veteran officer watched the department react as Anthony Arevalos assaulted 13 women while on duty. The latest investigation and charges against Officer Chris Hayes compelled the officer to speak to us on the record. The officer mentioned specific cases where friends and colleagues covered for each other. This one involved a drunk driver.
One of the detectives was under the influence of alcohol, driving, and hit an electrical box. The group of detectives and sergeants that covered it up are still there. What they do is they let it sit. They let it sit for 6 months. The case goes cold and nothing is done about it.
A police spokesman dismissed the allegations as sour grapes from an officer with an axe to grind. The spokesman does not know our source's identity. Police Chief William Lansdowne has suggested an independent audit to expose flaws within the department.
I think we do an incredibly good job, and people want to play the blame game and they want to criticize, but they don't understand the system.
We cannot police ourselves. It's impossible. It has to be an independent body.
A police spokesman told Team 10 the investigation into Officer Hayes shows the department does not favor connected cops. Hayes' father-in-law is a deputy chief. With Team 10, I'm investigator Mitch Blocker.